Good afternoon. Yesterday we have seen this suit for specific performance of the contract. Now, after suit for specific performance, we are going for injection. Suit for injection. So, what is this injection? Don't be of that opinion that this injection is nothing, is a medical this thing. Whenever you come across any fever, people will go to a doctor, and the doctor, first of all, he will take injection and he will do that injection, and that injection is different, and in this injection is different. Suit for injection refers to the order given by the court to restrict the party in breach from performing what he promised not to perform. So this is the order given by court of law, and this order, it will be given by the court of law, and it will restrict the party to continue or to do the performance, further performance, whatever he had rejected. So that is nothing but injunction. Injunction refers to the order given by the court to restrict the party in breach, okay, from performing what he promised not to perform. That is, wherever the breach is there, wherever is the breakdown, okay, further continuation of that it won't be. This is nothing but the injunction, and this injunction it will be given by court of law. Okay, usually providing an injunction by the court is discriminatory. That is, according to the whims and fancies and according to the interest of the court of law, the injunction order will be given. Actually, this is not injunction. This will be called as an injunction order. Okay, by the court in is discriminatory, but court normally refuses to grant an injunction to restrict a breach of a contract. See, court can give this order, injection order, but thing is, it won't. Okay, it is, even though it is discretionary, the court of law it won't give this. Okay, but court normally refuses to grant an injunction to restrict the breach of the contract. So once if the breach is over, over is over. That's all. But continuation of that, okay, no one will go, because due to some reasons the breach of contract will come, the breach had happened. Okay, so you have to look after the causes, but you should not make that to continue, or you cannot make the person who rejected that, who refuses to continue that performance, okay, that thing the court it won't give, it won't take into account. So that is nothing but injection order, wherein promisor make commitment not to do something, wherein promisor make commitment not to do something. Okay, the promisor that is offered, he will ask the person, he won't, because once breach is over means over, that's all, there is the matter. But continuation or just telling to the promisor, telling to the promisee is not there, wherein promisor make commitment not to do something, okay, which is negative in substance even though it is not in form. So whenever you come across any negativity, then also the breach will continue like that, but it won't be taken back. That is, it won't be retrieved back. Now we are going for damages. Okay, what are the damages? Damages are nothing but the compensation given by one party to the injured party, and the damages generally they will be in monetary terms. Okay, they will be in monetary terms. So that is nothing but the damages. Damages are referred to monetary compensation allowed to injured party as a remedy for breach of contract. Whenever there is a breakdown of a contract or breach of contract, and whomever may be the injured person, we have to pay money compensation to that person. So that person we have to take into account, and we have to pay him. And this is nothing but seeing the injured person to get some gain, because the injured person, he will always concentrate to be in the position when the contract comes, when the contract performs. So that thing we have to take into account, and we have to give that. Damages are referred to monetary compensation allowed to injured party as a remedy for breach of contract. The purpose of providing damages is to put the injured party in the same position as he or she was before the occurrence of loss. How he was and how she was when there is no occurrence, when there is no breach of contract, how he will be, to make that person, whether it may be a male person or a female person, to make him or to make her to be in that position when this breach of contract does not occur. Okay. Okay, awarding types of damages. The following are the various rules of contract for awarding various types of damages under breach of contract. So we have to take into account the types of damages. First one is ordinary damages. Ordinary damages. Ordinary damages are damages arising naturally. The ordinary damages, we can call that as damages arising naturally. That is, the party himself, okay, the party, he himself, he will tell to the injured party, "Arey, okay, due to some reason, there is a breakdown of contract, and you are suffering a loss, you are the injured person, and I am going to pay something," like that. The party who is in gain, he will give that to the injured party. If a contract is broken due to breach of one party, then injured party is liable to recover damages from other party. Such damages arises naturally, directly in usual course of business due to breach. These damages are known as ordinary damages. For example, P has a contract to sell. P has a contract to sell 50 quintals of rice to Q at 500 rupees per quintal, and payment is to be done at the time of delivery. But on delivery date, the price of rice increased by 550 rupees, okay, per quintal, and he refused to sell the rice. Actually, he wants to sell the rice per quintal 500 rupees. But at the time of delivery, the price increased by 50 rupees. So P doesn't want to give that. Okay. So P, but on delivery date, the price of rice increased by 550 rupees per quintal, and P refused to sell the rice because he is losing. When the price of, say, rice, when it is increased from 500 to 550, automatically P is losing 50 rupees per quintal. Okay, so he don't want to give that. Okay, if he want to give, he has to give at 550 rupees only. So that's why he refused to sell the rice to Q. Q is entitled to claim damages from P for a breach of contract because Q is the injured person here. Mind it, Q is the injured person, so he has a right to take damages from P. This is nothing but ordinary damages. Next, special damages are damages in contemplation of the parties. Special damages. Like ordinary damages, we will come across special damages, or we can call that as damages to contemplate contemplate of the parties, contemplation of the parties, in the place of special damages can be recovered due to the breach of contract when the purpose of contract was already brought into the notice of the party, but if party fails to serve the purpose according to the contract, then injured party is eligible to claim for damages. Okay, this is the main thing that we come across. When the purpose of contract was already brought to the notice of the other party. Okay, you see, two people they enter into a contract, Amma. Two people they will enter into a contract, and the purpose is known to both the parties. That is, The promisor and the promisee, both the people, they know that. The no, I mean, purpose of that. But due to this breach of contract, okay, but if party fails to serve the purpose according to the contract, then injured party is eligible to claim for damages. You see, there is a breakdown of contract, and with that breakdown of the contract, the purpose is not served. We have to see whether the purpose is served or not, whether anything was taken into account or whether anything was done for the purpose. Okay, there you have to take into account. That is nothing but special damages or damages in contemplation of the parties. Special damages can be claimed only in special circumstances. So don't be of that opinion that they will come, okay, always or at all times. Okay, they will come only in special circumstances, only they'll come. For example, be a trader delivered some goods to railway company and asked them to deliver at a place where festival was to be held. Okay, see the example. Be a trader deliver some goods to railway company and asked them to deliver at a place where festival was to be held. Where there is a festival, you better deliver the goods to that place. On the consignment note, it was clearly instructed that it should be delivered before Saturday. See the peculiarity. Before Saturday only they must be delivered. But the railway company failed. But railway authorities failed to deliver the goods on specified date. When there is no specification in the consignment note, okay, it won't come as a special damage. But it was there in the consignment note that they must be delivered before Saturday. Okay, that's what. Before Saturday, they must be delivered. But the railway authorities, they failed to deliver on Saturday or before Saturday. But railway authorities failed to deliver the goods on specified date. B is liable to recover his damages or loss of profit from railway company. So this is nothing but the special damages that we come across. And after this, we'll come across one beautiful type of damages, and they are nothing but vindictive or exemplary damages. Vindictive or exemplary damages. These are very peculiar damages. They are not like that of ordinary damages or special damages. Mind it. They are not like ordinary damages or special damages. Vindictive or exemplary damages. Vindictive or exemplary damages has no place in contract of law as they are punitive in nature, involving punishment. But in few cases, these damages are compensated. That's why I told you that. Okay, they are not like that of ordinary damages or special damages like that. In the beginning, only the I told you. Vindictive damages or exemplary damages, they'll always concentrate to go for some punishment. That is the attitude of this vindictive or exemplary damages. In this context, I will tell you a small example. If you take into account two kids, small kids, if one kid beats another kid, he'll just cry. But see the peculiarity. That second kid, he wants to beat the first one. Then only he will stop. Whether he has to beat or someone has to beat that person, then only his ego will be satisfied. That type of damages, we'll call them as vindictive damages or exemplary damages. Okay, so vindictive damages or exemplary damages are always constant. They will always come and they will always look after, concentrate on the punishment attitude. On the punishment attitude only they will depend. Vindictive or exemplary damages has no place in contract of law as are punitive in nature, that is involving punishment. But in few cases these damages are compensated. Okay, in case of breach of promise to marry, okay, to marry, there the punishment must be there. And in case of wrongly dishonoring of check by banker, even after having sufficient funds to honor. Okay, suppose if you are having enough fund, but the bank people, what they have done is they have dishonored the check. Okay, when there are no funds at all in the account, then you can dishonor that. It is well and good. But when there are enough funds, when there are sufficient funds, why you dishonored that check? Why you dishonored that check? People they will go and they will take into account this vindictive damages or exemplary damages. That is just next. I'm not talking about this. Okay, vindictive damages are over. Now we are going for nominal damages. Normal damages. Nominal damages refer to nominal loss where injured party does not suffer any loss due to breach of contract. This loss is very small. It is just to acknowledge the plaintiff, acknowledge that plaintiff has proved his point and won. Okay, so this is the thing that we come across. Okay, there is a breach of contract, and the injured party he won't go for any loss. Okay, he won't go for any loss. But when injured party does not suffer any loss due to breach of contract, this loss is very, very small. It is just to acknowledge that plaintiff has proved his point and won. You see, I mean, the injured party will have something in his mind, but that this person he gained something. In order to eliminate that, in order to eliminate that, the other party or the person who is in for gain, they will give some nominal damages to the injured party. So that type of damages are nominal in nature, and just for time being and just for namesake only, they will be given and they will appear. Next, damages for loss of reputation. You see, sometimes when we enter into a contract and when there is a breakdown, automatically the reputation of the person, the reputation of the thing, organization, or anything, okay, agency or whatever it may be, when the reputation, when they feel that the loss of reputation, you see, I have entered into this contract and there is a breakdown, so automatically I'll get some bad mark. Okay, so that thing, loss of reputation, whenever you come across, whenever you feel, then only you will come across damages for loss of reputation. Such damages are generally not recoverable, but in some exceptional cases, it is awarded. Okay, for example, if a banker wrongly refuses to honor the check of a tradesman, then that tradesman is eligible to claim the damages for the loss of reputation in the market. Even it has a rule, even it has a rule that is, the smaller the value of dishonor, the smaller the value of dishonor check, the higher will be the compensation award. See the peculiarity. What a foolish thing. Okay. See, for example, if a banker wrongly, he was mentioned, it was mentioned over there, wrongly refuses to honor the check of a tradesman, then that tradesman is eligible to claim the damages for the loss of reputation. నేను ఇచ్చిన చెక్ what I have, whatever it may be, the check that I am going to give, it must be cleared, it must be honored. When you say that it is dishonored, what about my reputation? People, how they will treat me, how they will think. So there is a loss of reputation. So that's why this trader, he will claim some damages. So that damages are nothing but damages for loss of reputation. Okay, damages for inconvenience and comfort. You see, this thing it you will come across inconvenience. Whenever you come across any the inconvenience or discomfort, okay, naturally some people they'll go and they will ask the damages. Okay, so what is that? Let us see. Under this, damages are claimed for the physical inconvenience and discomfort suffered by the injured party. Okay, this thing will happen. Suppose when you are going in a bus full of rush and okay, without any intention, you don't have that intention to kick the other person, but due to some accident, due to some accident, the leg of one passenger it was struck to another passenger. Okay, so this man he don't know that willfully he won't beat that person. He won't do like that. But thing is, it happened. So there, there, okay, it will create a big nuisance. There it will create a nuisance. So that is nothing but damages for inconvenience and comfort. Okay. For example, A with his wife and children took bus tickets for a particular place, but bus has dropped them 5 kilometers before their destination. Due to midnight, A and his family were unable to get another transportation facility, so they have walked to reach their destination and suffered physical inconvenience. So A is liable to recover damages. See, how easy it is. A with his wife and children took bus tickets for a particular place, but bus has dropped them 5 kilometers before their destination. And as there was no transportation, these people they had gone by walk. Okay. Due to midnight, A and his family members were unable to get other transportation facilities, so they have walked to reach their destination and suffered physical inconvenience. So A will claim damages. So A will claim damages. Those are nothing but damages for inconvenience and comfort. Next, mitigation of damages. This is very, very important. Mitigation. So, what is this? It is the duty of injured party to take all necessary steps to mitigate the loss consequent to the breach. To mitigate means to cover. Okay, to cover. When the injured party, when he takes all the precautionary measures, okay, necessary steps to mitigate the loss consequent to the breach, so that type of damages we'll call them as mitigation of damages. His claim of loss is eligible to extent of breach only, but not to his negligence of mitigating the loss. See, whatever it may be, the loss suffered, okay, that thing if it is genuine, then damages can be paid. But wantedly, he should not create that. Wantedly, the injured person he should not go for mitigation of damages. That's what. His claim of loss is eligible to extent of breach, but not to his negligence of mitigating the loss. Okay. See, there is a breach, no doubt. There is a breach. And the injured party, he has to get, sorry, he has to get the damages. But you should not take into account that thing wantedly. He should not go for mitigation of the loss. Okay. Cost of decree. This is another thing. The injured party is entitled to recover damages along with the cost of decree. You see, cost of decree means whatever it may be the cost that was incurred by the injured party. We'll call that thing as cost of decree. So when there is a breach of contract, whenever the injured person when he come across some expenses, so that expenses also they must be paid by the other party. That is nothing but cost of decree. Then last one is damages agreed upon in advance. So this is very very beautiful. Okay, suppose we are entering into a contract. We are entering into a contract. Suppose if there is any breakdown, this much is the damages. Well, in advance they'll keep that. So that type of damages are nothing but damages agreed upon in advance. Under this, injured party is entitled to recover damages only to extend agreed in contract to be paid at the time of failure of performance or breach of contract. Under Section 74, a reasonable amount is agreed between both the parties in advance for a breach of contract. Okay, so for a before that only they will enter into a contract. Before entering into a contract, if there is any breach of contract due to any reasons, okay, due to any reasons when there is a breakdown of contract, this much amount it is to be paid as damages. Like that, when before entering into a contract, they will the two parties they will come to an agreement and they will accept that and they'll continue that. But if there is a damage, if it occurred, automatically the amount what was agreed, it will be paid to the other party. That is, the injured party will get the same amount. For example, in a contract between P and Q, P promises to pay 500 rupees on Monday. If he fails to pay them, if he fails to pay them, then 1000 rupees will be paid to Q as compensation. Okay, so I am going to, between two parties, P and Q. Here, P and Q are there. P promised to pay in a contract between P and Q. P promises to pay. Sorry. P promises to pay 500 rupees on Monday, but it was failed. Okay, if he fails to pay, then 1000 rupees. See, 500 rupees extra, then 1000 rupees will be paid to Q as compensation. That is, whatever it may be the actual amount plus another 50 500 rupees as damages, it will be paid. That is 1000 rupees, it should be, I mean, 1000 rupees must be paid to Q. Okay, so this type of damages, we'll call them as damages agreed upon in advance. Okay, this is how you will come across the damages. With this, I am going to stop, and tomorrow we are going to take into account a beautiful chapter, that is Information Technology Act of 2000. This is very very new topic, and people there must have, okay, full confidence, and you have to hear concentratedly, and you have to pay more attention because this is completely a new topic. Information Technology Act of 2000. In the year 2000, this Information Technology Act came into existence, and from 2000 onwards people they have to follow. Here in this case, you'll come across, okay, digital signature and digital signature certificate, all these things. That is regarding the computerization. Up to that extent, we are having this normal, okay, thing, whatever it may be, the transactions. But here on up from 2000 year onwards, as the computer era developed a lot, that's why people they must know the information. That is, and that's why it is termed as information technology. Okay, that is, whatever it may be, the information that was kept, it must be known by other parties also. Digital signature. Up to now, what happened is, okay, before 2000, people they have to go and they have to sign so many documents. For example, if you want to register, if you want to take a LR, okay, LR. or the original this thing. Okay, you have to keep a digital signature over there, because every time asking the person to come and sign, automatically he will feel bad. Once if we keep a digital signature, automatically that digital signature will go for all the documents. There is no necessity for him to come and again sign on different papers. So regarding that, what is the birthplace? Okay, what is the time period? Okay, this act, it came in the year 2000, please mind it. It came in the year 2000. So that thing we are going to take from tomorrow onwards. So I'm going to stop here, and tomorrow we are going to meet again. Thank you.